My name is Ray Jones. I'm the Pike County Judge Executive, and I want to just begin by thanking everyone who's here today, and I want to get just a little bit of statistical information. Thanks to all of our first responders, our swiftwater rescue teams, including we have members of the Pikeville team here. We had a lot of folks who stepped up and performed over 600 water rescues. Unfortunately, we did have 4 Pike County residents who lost their lives in this flood event. This has been the most significant flood event since 1977, and it has caused massive devastation over a wide portion of Pike County, from the Shelby Valley and Elkhorn Creek areas, Marbone, through to Red Creek, Pikeville, Coal Run, the Woodman and Freeburn areas of Peter Creek and Knox Creek, and through Pond Creek into South Williamson. This has been a significant challenge for both local, state, and federal officials. And I want to just briefly mention, and I'm going to miss people, but I want to briefly mention some people who need recognition. First and foremost is the staff in Pike County Emergency Management. We have invested in emergency management in this county, and it paid off. We have invested in 911, and it paid off. Nee Jackson, C.J. Childers, Tim Fields, Tyler Coleman, all the people and the others in the office who have played a vital role in preparing for this type of event. Our first responders who saved so many lives. Our law enforcement agencies, the Kentucky State Police and Pike County Sheriff's Office, the Pikeville City Police, the Coal Run Police Department. We have brought in resources from across the state and across the nation. We had, and FEMA responded quickly. When this event started, we had 2 FEMA urban search and rescue teams here. We had Task Force 1 out of Indiana. We had the Louisville Task Force team. And it has been a remarkable job by Kentucky Emergency Management and Director Eric Gibson. Absolutely, Eric, you've done a fabulous job, and the people of Kentucky and Eastern Kentucky owe you a tremendous debt of gratitude. And I say that because we've talked all hours of the night, we've texted back and forth, and everything we've asked for, we've received it. It's been absolutely an overwhelming outpouring of support from our state officials. Governor Beshear, he called for the emergency declaration, and in a bipartisan manner, President Trump immediately issued the emergency declaration. I have communicated throughout this crisis with Hal Rogers' office, Pike County native, his chief of staff, Karen Engel Kelly. Karen has done everything that she could to help with this because it's been her home county as well. Kentucky's got the finest congressman in America, Hal Rogers, and his staff has once again stepped up. I want to thank the staff of Senator McConnell and Senator Paul, who have representatives here today. I want to thank these soldiers from the Kentucky Army National Guard. You guys have played an instrumental role in delivering supplies and helping with construction efforts. The Pike County employees, our solid waste employees, Public Works, we have taken our solid waste employees and we put them to work delivering supplies. Our trail directors answered phones. We have been working tirelessly since this event at the local level. We've also had a great partnership with Mayor Andrew Scott and Coal Run, Mayor Jimmy Carter and his staff, City Manager Reggie Higman, and I want to say Nathan Bryant. Nathan has done a great job, and I want to say something. Nathan's here. Mayor Bryant lost his father in this event. And even after that tragedy, he kept performing as the mayor. He stepped up and he led his community. And God bless him and his family for the loss that they've suffered. I don't want to take a lot more time, but there are hundreds of families who have been impacted. There are hundreds of businesses, small businesses, local businesses that have been devastated. People who work for a living. And one message I do want to carry back to our congressional delegation, and this is vitally important. The benefits that Congress has had on the books for so long are inadequate, in my opinion, to address the magnitude of the damage. And I know that finances are strained. I know that we have a debt problem, but we absolutely need to look at what the SBA can do for small businesses. Because if you're already running a small business and you already have loans, it really doesn't help a lot if you have to take another SBA loan out. A lot of businesses can't handle that. And I'm hoping that that message gets back. I'm going to have a conversation with Congressman Rogers, and I apologize to him because he reached out to me and I didn't know he was calling. Carlos Cameron, his district director, reached out, and I was in a meeting at the time. We have had a lot of outpouring of support from the Red Cross, the Southern Baptist Convention. We have had help from the Church of Christ, Samaritan's Purse, which is Franklin Graham's organization, the United Cajun Navy, and so many other organizations who have sent in supplies. Western North Carolina strong. I want to say and Nee Jackson, our emergency management director, just motion for me to not leave them out because they have absolutely United Carolina Cavalry. Those folks saw the devastation in Western North Carolina and Tennessee, and they were one of the first ones on the ground to help us. And we will never forget that. And if we can answer the call for them at any point, we'll be there. This time, I would like to turn it over to Kentucky State Senator who replaced me in the State Senate. Second best senator, Kentucky State Senator we've ever had up here, Phil Wheeler. Phil, come on up and give us a briefing in Frankfort, okay?
Thank you, Ray, and it's an honor to be here with the folks here today that have really been doing the yeoman's work. I want to let you know that the state is well aware of the needs that are going to be for this area, and since day one, I've been in communication with Judge Jones and the other county officials that have been impacted. We're here in the legislature for you as the damage estimates come in. I've talked to President Stivers and the members of the House and my colleagues, John Blanton, Bobby McCool, Scott Maiden, the people that are in the affected areas. We are united as a mountain caucus to make sure that we get the assistance we need out of Frankfort, and we have been promised that that assistance will be forthcoming. As the judge said, this is not a partisan matter. This is about Kentucky. And we've worked together as state, local, and county officials, and now we have our federal team in place that's been sent by President Trump to make sure that we get the financial resources that we need to rebuild and make Eastern Kentucky better than it's ever been before. So thank you very much for everybody that's come out here today. Thank you, Judge Jones, to the members of the fiscal court, Freddie Lewis, Ronald Scott, Bubby, for all that you've done. You all have really been out there, the boots on the ground in emergency management, CJ, Nee. You all have been the real heroes here, and we stand with you in the state legislature to make sure that you get what you need to make sure that people are safe. Thank you.
I do want to thank our legislative delegation. I've been in communication with all the members. I want to thank the members of Pike County Fiscal Court, Commissioner Freddie Lewis, Commissioner Ronald Scott, and Commissioner Bubby Atkins. We've worked closely together, and all the commissioners have been out. Freddie and Ronald and Bubby have been out working tirelessly to help the communities that have been affected, and it is greatly appreciated. Pike County Sheriff Rodney Scott, we have Jailer Brian Morris. It's been a team effort, and it's going to continue to be a team effort. I want to, at this time, ask Kentucky Emergency Management Director Eric Gibson to come up and address the situation. And again, Eric, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you very much, Judge and Senator Wheeler. And I'd like to come before the group again and just say thank you for all the work that's been done. Honestly, I look around the room and I know the hard work the sweat that's come across your brow on the work that you've been doing. Our National Guard, we've tasked with so many jobs during this event, from high-wheel vehicle rescues to distributing these flood relief supplies. They've just been very instrumental in that. I look around and I see the first responders that spent so many hours in the water that night, pulling so many of your own citizens to safety, the security that the law enforcement have provided, the blocking of the roads, and trying to protect these communities from this entire event. And I stand before you all just to say thank you, and that's where I should start at, because I'm very humbled by the response that I've seen by the responders here, but really in all the community. And as we talk about what we're doing in Frankfurt, that's really something that's attributed to the information that we get. And if I'm sitting in Frankfurt and I'm not hearing what's going on, but that's not the case. Your local officials, from your elected representatives, your senators, to your judge executives, to your mayors, even down to the road department, they've got my cell phone number. And night or day, if it's been an issue, I told them to send it straight to me if they needed something that we weren't getting taken care of. And I would tell you that I've heard from almost every single one of them, and I know that they've got your back. And I think that's the part all the way down to our congressman's office. I've talked to his staff. Congressman Rogers' staff have been in touch with me throughout this event. So you have support, and I think that's what's important to know in Kentucky, is the community is here. And that's what we're all about, is right. It's that each other helping each other. And as we started all the way down to your local, all the way to your federal officials, and the night that this event started unfolding, it started Saturday morning, early hours out in western Kentucky with some severe flooding. And we started seeing our first deaths in Hart County. Actually was the first reported. We had one in Nelson from the snow event, and then the next one was in Hart County. And as these deaths started unfolding, and we knew this was going to be a serious event, as the water started to rise, we started to request those federal assets, additional urban search and rescue teams to support the work that was going on here by the locals. I mean, at some point, there's more rescues than one team can do. So we started leveraging that federal team to come to our assistance, and Governor Beshear acted very, very quickly, getting a declaration drafted and sent in to our president. The president executed that document very, very quickly. And by the time, middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, Indiana Task Force 1 was standing in the EOC, really, standing there ready to go to work. Where do you need us at? The declaration had been signed for emergency assistance from the FEMA folks, and we went to work. And they started supplementing in behind your local first responders, and we followed that up with additional teams coming in from Missouri, from Indiana, from Ohio. So North Carolina sent their teams in, not the federal teams, but the state teams come in and helped us. Indiana conservation officers have been in here, along with about 40 of your own departments from across the state that you probably saw. As I looked across and I saw Ashland Fire Department, Bowling Green Fire Department, and there's no way I could mention them all in just a short press conference, and nor would I try, and maybe I need to talk louder or scoot up. I don't know which one it is, or I'll just get loud without a microphone. But it's okay. The point I'm trying to make is your team of Kentucky employees, along with your federal assets, down to your local officials, have all come together to try to help. Now we're getting through this response phase. The more difficult phase of this starts, and that's that recovery phase. There's a lot of work to be done. Your streets are full of storm-related debris. Your homes are wet, and we understand that. And as we come into town today, and just to take another look, I was here last week, I'm back again today, just to try to understand how we can, what force we can apply to start helping to get the debris cleaned up. How can we get the roads open quicker to return back to a normal way of life? And I think that's what everybody's looking for. And as we try to figure that out, there's a lot of work to be done. It'll be done with the exact same thing I saw as we just visited the Coal Run community. A lot of people out there doing work for themselves. And I saw those business owners, those homeowners, mucking out their stores, getting that stuff out of the way, looking for that bright day that's coming to get their store back open, to resume this business that they're living their life off of. That's how they support their own family. So we understand the importance, and we're continuing to work every day with our FEMA partners, continuing to work with your local officials. And we realize that you're hurting in this time. I mean, you all have lost loved ones that are standing in this room. That's tragic. And this event, these weather events are tragedies. And we're starting with a disaster, and we're headed down the road to recovery. And we understand where we are. But what I would say is the staff across our elected officials, senators, representatives, again, the local officials here, the governor's office are completely connected to these events. And if there's something someone needs, they know if they need us, Kentucky Emergency Management will be there along with our local emergency management officials to bring the aid that you all need. Hopefully you've received that. I've heard very positive comments from the work that's been done, and I'm just grateful and humbled by the work that's been done by your community. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our acting administrator of FEMA. Mr. Cameron Hamilton has joined us. This is the top of the FEMA agency. He is in to see these damages that have happened in your community. And me and him were talking, he and I were talking, I should say. He and I were talking in the vehicle about the picture this paints. And he has the opportunity to return back to Washington, D.C. and to tell this story. And he's here so he can get that firsthand information and repeat that information back into the leaders in DC. So thank you very much for being here, sir. We really appreciate you. And if you'd like to give a few brief words.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, first and foremost, let me thank God for the first responders that are here, those that were doing urban search and rescue efforts, those that were actually helping those in need, your medical first responders, your law enforcement partners, anyone that was helping, neighbor helping neighbor. A lot of that I've seen today, and it's been incredibly heartwarming to also see. I do think it's important to remind ourselves as well that those lives that are lost, it's not just a statistic. That's someone's loved ones. We had a man over here who lost his father in this terrible incident. I got to speak with a woman in North Carolina recently who, while evacuating her home, she lost her home. Her husband was inside of her home. So there are people that are hurting, that are suffering, that have seen their absolute worst day. My position here is to represent the administration and to represent the great men and women of DHS as well as FEMA. And I can tell you that this is something that President Trump cares deeply about, which is why I'm incredibly grateful for his leadership and his effort on signing that emergency declaration, ensuring that we had the resources there. I also want to give a major shout out to Robert and to Jeremy for making sure that we had resources here early and on time. A pretty remarkable feat, bringing in folks from Indiana, Wisconsin, many other adjacent states, Minnesota. And so I really want to commend them for that work and that pre-staging effort. You never really know what it's like for a survivor until you walk in their shoes. And that's not always the easiest to do. We're seeing communities being rebuilt, and we're seeing the strength of what that Kentucky spirit can show. I want to thank the congressman and both senators' office for being here, for leading this area. I want to thank all the local leaders for what that entails, especially the judge over here. I also want to thank you all for your efforts in helping move every single individual that needs help so that they can recover and they can see the upside of their worst day. That's why I'm here, and that's the things that I care about. So I want you to understand that on behalf of the administration, it is a tremendous honor to be here and to see and hear your stories, hear about your experiences. I can tell you that you're not forgotten about. We deeply care about the needs of this community, and we are going to partner with you in every way possible to ensure that this community can recover as swiftly as possible. So thank you all. If you want any information about what FEMA can do, please, I encourage anyone to go to 1-800-621-FEMA. That is a perfect opportunity for you to learn more about the manner in which FEMA can provide assistance and care. Also go to disasterassistance.gov, another great resource where we hope to partner, again, much more with our state and local officials. Thank you all for your time. Thank you for your effort. And thank you to our brave men and women over here in uniform who are helping deliver those crucial supplies. That is absolutely what we need to keep these communities going.
Let me just say this: we're running on a tight time frame, and there's some folks I didn't mention, and there's actually a lot of folks I didn't mention, but the staff, employees, and the superintendent of Mountain Water, Tammy Olson's here. I would just ask people to be patient. When this event happened, I felt that some of these areas may be without water for months. There was that much damage, and almost all of the customers of Mountain Water have been restored. There's still some that don't. There's still people who've been going on over a week and a half now with no water, and they're aware of that, and they're working diligently. I want to thank Ryan Howe and the employees of Kentucky Power. They were here the next day working tirelessly to get people back with electricity. And a lot of times our utility workers are forgotten, and I think we owe them a tremendous debt of gratitude as well. Tammy, would you please convey that message on behalf of the fiscal court and the citizens of the county? All right. You have any questions? We'll open it up briefly for questions.
I'd like to ask the director of Weston. Our main office has wanted me to ask you this, that Kentucky had the declaration of an emergency, but there was just as much flooding over in West Virginia. So what is the process? Why is it here and no help there, or is it?
The answer is yes. We have not lost sight on West Virginia by any means, nor have we lost sight on Western Virginia. I know I've had conversations with both those governors, especially Governor Youngkin in Virginia, So it's a deliberative process that we have to undertake. It's requested by the state up to FEMA, then we consider it and present it to the White House. So all that I can say is that we are still working through that process. It does take a bit of time when you talk about significant amounts of federal resources, but we're there to partner. We care very deeply about the people of West Virginia. Right now, we're here talking about Kentucky, and my principal responsibility is to ensure that I can see the communities here that are immediately impacted. But for those in West Virginia, as well as those even in North Carolina, California, Florida, and many other places that have been recently devastated, to include New Mexico, Hawaii, there are so many communities that still need help, that still have our focus and attention.
I get that, I apologize, but let me ask you one other question. I have always heard in my career that to give FEMA aid, there's a lot of red tape processes to go through. Is there anything you can do to cut the red tape?
That's a great question. I can tell you that FEMA is looking at the manner in which we modernize our information systems, the methods that we use to engage with survivors. We have to be faster. That's the reality. And so we're looking at every method possible to speed up that process. We want survivors to get answers in hours or days, not weeks. So there's a variety of different things that we're currently implementing, designing, that we hope to roll out here in the near future. So I'm glad you asked your question. The answer is that is absolutely within our focus, and that's one of the principal reasons why I was brought on with the administration, is to help address concerns like that. So thank you all for your patience, and I will have an answer for you on that very soon.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions, that's going to conclude the press conference. Thank you all very much.